This is Country Living. Today's topic is country outdoor. One of our special guests today is Miss Birtle. Miss Birtle, how are you today?
I'm fine today, thanks.
Okay, Birtle, let's talk war. What were the different food packages you had?
Soldiers had two kind of rations out on the field. They had C and K.
What did these rations consist of?
C rations consisted of a lot of canned food. Sometimes soldiers would receive little treats, if you would, like candy or cigarettes while out on the field. K rations were used for air pilots and soldiers being dropped into areas. They were lighter foods, but they consisted of 3 main meals and a snack, unlike the K rations, which were 1 meal per ration.
What did soldiers eat on the base?
On the base, they had a lot of stuff. It was mostly home-style food, though. They had hot dogs, hamburgers, rice, beans, just stuff that was cookable at the base, but you couldn't necessarily take with you.
What were the uniforms?
Well, soldiers had 2 different kinds of uniforms. They had summer and winter. In the winter, there was heavier clothing, like coats and hats, but the basic was a shirt, belt, pants with 2 pockets in the front, 2 in the back. Depending on what country they were from, they had different colored uniforms, of course. They had light brown, dark brown, and green, and blue.
What were the quality of these uniforms?
The uniforms made out of heavy wool, and they were strong and easy to clean.
What about the summer weather?
The summer weathers could prove to be very difficult because soldiers had to keep hydrated and cool, and they could get sun poisoning if they're out there too long.
How did the winter weather affect the soldiers?
Winter weather, though, had the opposite effect. If the soldiers got too cold, they could freeze to death or die of hypothermia.
Today on Country Living, we have Chester, who was a soldier in World War II when he was a young boy. So, Chester, what was the age you joined the military?
I started at an age of 10. Looking back, it was too young now, but I had no other choice. The scariest thing is that once you return home, you feel like you're gonna get shot in broad daylight. So I would not have joined if I had a choice.
What would you describe your life as while you were in the war?
My life was very hard. It was the scariest thing I have ever experienced. Think about it, getting shot 24/7 and having the constant fear that you'll get captured or get lost.
So, Chester, how was life after the war happened?
It was hard to adjust from being in the war to going back to my quiet home. Of course, there were several nights that I would have nightmares, multiple nightmares, but I learned to cope, and after a few years, I was back to normal.
If you could have joined the war later in life or at the time that you did, which would you choose?
I would have chosen to go later in life because having no childhood is very hard, and it's really hard to be without any friends, and you really miss your friends.
Today, we have author Nikita Rosanoff, who is here to talk about his new book, World War II Accounts. So, Nikita, can you tell me about your favorite story in the book?
WWII, who recently died in 2003, was in the German army. He grew up in a small town and was drafted into the Wehrmacht in 1940. He was trained as an anti-tank gunner and participated in the invasion of the Soviet Union and the Battle of Stalingrad. During the Battle of Stalingrad, his unit was ordered to go meet a Soviet counteroffensive, but he could not join them because his leg was amputated due to frostbite, but his unit got hit hard and he would have died, but thankfully he survived.
I'm so interested, Nikita. Can you tell us about another World War II account?
He described Jim Buchan described his journey on the TS Cameronia. He boarded on December 9th, 1942, and he was headed for the city of Beaune, where he would meet up with the British First Army. He later became a dispatch rider for the commanding officers. So his first day on board, he was introduced to various different rules, including not littering because that could attract German U-boats, and not smoking on deck because that could also attract attention. And living quarters were very cramped, and people slept in hammocks. Food was alright, as Buchan described, and a few days into the journey, people often got seasick. Later, on the 13th day of the voyage, the ship was attacked by an Italian torpedo bomber. It made a hole in the bottom of the ship in one of its sections. The ship was okay, but it was believed that 17 were killed and 30 wounded, although there's no official report. Soon, he arrived at a town named Boyge and lived in what he believed was some sort of factory. He later made his way to Beaune via a cruiser. From there, he crossed into Tunisia, where the fighting was going on.
Oh wow, Nikita, I can't wait to get the book.
Today on Country Living, we're going to have the director, Bertha, who has just recently finished filming Life as a Soldier.
Thanks for having me on the show tonight. A Soldier's Life is basically an account of a soldier in World War II, and it goes through him writing a letter home about an experience on a mission. Here it is.
Our assault boat hit a sandbar. I told him to drop the ramp, but we went off the sides. I looked to my right and saw B Company boat next to us with Lieutenant Bob Fitzgerald's, a good friend, take a direct hit on the ramp from a mortar of mine, and to run with my rifle in front of me. There were more German small arms fired, and German grenades popped. I was hit by what I assumed was a sniper bullet. Then, there was silence. I looked back to the sea. There was nothing. There were no reinforcements. I thought the invasion had been abandoned.